So we've been talking a lot about Scaffold-ETH and what you can do. We're going to be building one of the challenges called Speedrun Ethereum. So actually using Scaffold-ETH and building like a small token vendor application. And I'm going to walk through everything, but I hope it will be helpful because once you kind of like see, okay, like Scaffold-ETH is cool, I want to build some stuff, then we always encourage people to go to speedrunethereum.com and complete the challenges, which is then how you can join Build Guild. So I hope that this will be kind of like an introduction to kind of start to join. And if you want, you can directly go to speedrunethereum.com, but I made here like a small README. It's like very simple. You can either go to Speedrun Ethereum, but basically what we're going to do today. So I have over here the QR code if you want to like open the links over there, but no worries if you don't want to. We will like walk through it together. This is just kind of to help follow along, but we'll basically go through like speedrunethereum.com and I'll show kind of how to get started there. By the way, did anyone actually start like or complete Speedrun Ethereum challenges? Or okay, yeah, I know you're in Build Guild. Okay, perfect. So this will be kind of like the same thing for you guys. I'm sorry, but I hope it will be valuable. Okay, so and a bit about me. So I'm part of Build Guild. I work together with Austin and the team. So I guess it's called more developer relations. I do developer relations, building kind of technical content, working together with to make like videos, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's get started. And I kind of want, so the aim is to have the workshop like 1 hour, but it will be more so like 30 minutes and then hands-on, so like we'll stop, take a while so that you guys can set it up and try alone as well. Okay, so let's get to it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, so Austin showed, and Kevin as well, like walk through like setting up Scaffold-ETH. I'm actually going to go to Scaffold-ETH challenges. So when you go to Scaffold-ETH too, there's like different branches. So we're going to go ahead and, or you know, let me actually like open that. But when you go to speedrunethereum.com, you see like the challenges over here. So once you complete like the first 4 challenges, you can then join Build Guild. And today I'm going to like walk through building the token vendor together. So you can go over here to speedrunethereum.com. And then the token vendor quest. I think this is like a nice one because we will build like our own token, so it can be fun. You can call it, like I will call my token EDA, but you can call it whatever you want to. So the first thing, it's the same setup as Austin and like as we walked through like since the beginning. And one thing nice which is available on speedrunethereum.com is basically the descriptions. So over here, like token vendor doesn't really mean anything when, like at least for me. I don't really know what that means, but basically it kind of explains over here what it is. So it's basically like a machine which you can buy and sell tokens to. And the token will be our own token, so we'll basically deploy an ERC20 smart contract, and you can call it how much you want, have the supply as you wish. So that's kind of what we're going to do. So the first is the environment. Now I'm directly going to take this, and you can go over here to speedrunethereum.com or the link which we have in the group, and kind of get that started. If you want to do it with me, that would be great because like we're going to go slow, but if you don't want to, that's totally fine too. I am actually going to, I have it over here, but I want to do it once again from scratch. So let's actually close this terminal. Okay, so I'm actually not really doing anything. I'm just cloning the repo, and then basically all I do is like cd into the repo, which I clone, and then do the first step, which is yarn install. And the commands are actually available here. So all I did was I did like git clone, which is this repo over here, and then the certain branch. So we want the challenge to token vendor, and then I just go into that location, and then go into that branch, and then do a yarn install. So this is the first step. Next, we're going to basically start our chain. Now, the reason I'm not doing Scaffold-ETH 2 from 0 is because this one has like a few changes. So it has like some UI updates. It has 2 contracts. For example, we have the token smart contract and also the vendor smart contract. So it kind of like puts us 2 steps ahead instead of starting from 0 when we have a time limit. Okay, I think this is loaded. Okay, awesome. So it directly changed here. So what I need to do is I need to do a yarn chain to start our local blockchain. Let's open a new terminal. Once yarn chain starts, we can then deploy. So I'm going to be using local hard hat network. We're not going to be deploying for right now. If we have time, we could do that too, but I'm not sure we might get to that. So right now, like, yeah, we just started our local hard hat chain, and it's using hard hat. Basically, in Scaffold-ETH, you can choose the options of Foundry or hard hat. But for the challenges, we currently have them running on hard hat. If you start from like Scaffold-ETH by scratch, you can definitely do whichever flavor you choose. Okay, so the first thing I did over here is I just started my local blockchain, and then I'm going to do a yarn deploy. But actually, I want to show what happens before a yarn deploy. So now I haven't deployed my contracts yet, but I kind of want to show you, like, it's probably going to give me an error, like contracts not deployed or no contracts available. So let's kind of see what it says. Okay, so it's actually working, but once we come to debug contracts, it's probably going to say like no contracts. Okay, no contracts found. So this is kind of the difference of what this branch does, is it gives us like a different interface, as you see. Like there's, for example, the home tab, the token vendor, events tab, debug contracts tab. So it's a bit different, but you know, the layout, everything is the same, so you can definitely start from scratch. And there's a token vendor. Now we have 0 because there is actually no token contract too. Okay, so we did that. We did like a yarn chain. Now let's also deploy the contracts which we have available before like looking at the code itself. I'm going to open a new tab over here. So Kevin had the tabs better designed, but this is my design. Okay, cool. We have deployed our smart contract. Now if we reload, you can just like, you don't need to do a yarn start. It will automatically like take it. Okay, awesome. So now we have a contract. We have a your token smart contract. You can see the address, the balance, etc., some details. You know, it has a name, a symbol, total supply. This is an ERC smart contract. Let's look into that actually. Okay, let's open this here. So this is, let's zoom in. This is too small, even I can't see from here. Okay, so I'm opening first I want to see my smart contracts. Cool. So this one has 2 smart contracts, right? Like it has the your token and it has the vendor.sol. But when I go to the app over here you only see your token because we haven't deployed the vendor smart contract yet. So we will also deploy that, but just like if you're like, why is there only 1 smart contract on my tab? It's because we need to uncomment the lines in the deploy script, and we will get to that. And as you can see, like this is your token smart contract. So it's an ERC20 smart token, automatically extends from like OpenZeppelin smart contracts. It's called gold, and it has a symbol. So this is basically like all it has. And I actually want to change this. Let's call it EDA's token. And I'm going to make the symbol EDA. You can call it whatever you want. You're welcome to use my name too. But now we need to like redeploy. So it will, like, let's go over here. When I do a yarn, sometimes it saves. So like it's best when you do a yarn deploy to do like a reset. So let's do like a yarn deploy reset, and then it will basically now redeploy our ERC smart contract, and it's changing the name and the symbol. As you can see, now it has a new name and it has a symbol, and the total supply is 0 because we have not created anything yet. All we do is extend OpenZeppelin smart contracts, and you might be like, okay, like where's these methods coming from? But they're coming from the OpenZeppelin ERC20 standard. So as you can see, it has like the allowance, the balance of, approve function, which we will actually like walk through as well. So this is like the first step. So now we actually want this token to have some kind of supply, right? Because now it's 0. And one thing about like using hard hats and having the burner wallets is that, and Austin kind of showed this, but whenever I open like a new localhost, it will actually give me like a new burner wallet. So it kind of makes it easy. Now you don't need to like connect your MetaMask, which can get like slow when you want to move fast. But it just makes it easier like to quickly test and to have like different players. So there's this like purple person, and then there's this pink person with different addresses. And if you're like, where did these addresses come from? You can see kind of your chain over here, which is running the hard hat chain, so you can get all the details, etc. Okay, so now let's actually like do something. And where is my speedrun Ethereum challenge? So again, I'm kind of following like the token vendor application, so you can definitely like continue, do this, like walk through it slowly as well afterwards. But what we did was the first checkpoint, which we basically set it up, we started it. Nothing like very crazy. I didn't mention this, but because like Austin had also mentioned, like you kind of have some dependencies to have on your PC before running it, Node, Yarn, and Git. Okay, now the first checkpoint is basically your token. So as we see over here, like we have the token contract, but it doesn't have any supply. And we kind of want to send it to like one of these actors, like this 5181 address. So in our constructor, what we need to do is we need to specify how much tokens we want to mint and who to send it to. And I'm actually going to do that. So I'm copying this address. It's all on hard hat localhost, so it's not real money. And I go over here. It actually, like, this directly came, like, I didn't make any changes, so this directly comes with the, like, this branch already has, like, everything commented out, so it makes your life easier. So I'll just do, like, a mint, and then I'll add my front-end address over here, and then the supply, so it's going to be, like, 1,000. And then, yeah, once we kind of uncomment this line, whenever, like, your token.sol is called, it will automatically mint in the constructor. So also, like, you can add the address here, but you can also add it to the constructor, so you can specify that in the deployment script. Okay, oh, I don't want to do this, sorry. So once I redeploy, now our token is going to have some contract. Our contract is going to have some tokens. Okay, perfect. So I have 1,000 EDA tokens. So no value, but that's okay. So you can see, like, once you directly deploy, there's 1,000 tokens available. You can see the owner of the contract. This is directly deployed. So let's check the deployment script, because I don't remember exactly, like, how the deployment script works. So, okay, it automatically takes, like, a hard hat deployer account. It takes the first deployer account from hard hat, so you can specify who you want the deployer to be. I'm going to leave it like this for now, but I will transfer, like, we will make someone an ownership of the contract, and then I'll transfer the ownership. But if you're like, okay, what is this address coming from? You can see that it comes from, like, your hard hat, getting all the accounts from your hard hat chain, and then it just, like, takes the top one from what I remember. Oh, it actually explains over here too. Okay, so that's I think. We shouldn't do anything else here. I think this is like the second checkpoint, basically. Oh yeah, let's show the transfer before we kind of move forward. So one thing which we talked about is that it comes with like a few changes. So for example, like when you come to your front end, you have like this card box over here. You can automatically transfer, you know how much balance you have. So that's kind of why I'm using this branch. But again, like if you're doing it on your own, I definitely do encourage you to use like the main Scaffold-E2 branch, so then you can kind of learn about how to like interact with your contract from that interface. And if you're like, why does this person have 1,000 EDA coins, is because like this was the account which we specified. So I'm gonna send it to this like incognito window. Let's copy this address. But this will actually not send if I don't grab funds. So let me show you how that works. Okay, so there is no funds. Like we need to grab some ETH to actually pay for the transfer. So we automatically have like a built-in faucet in the Scaffold-E2 application. So I just grab like 1 ETH. I can actually grab like a lot more, so you can have like however much you want. Okay, I have now 11. So let me transfer like to this incognito window 10 tokens. Now, okay, as you can see, 10 went, and then this person now should have like 10 tokens. So you can do like as many incognito windows as you want, just kind of a way to see where the tokens go. Instead of using like the token vendor tab, you can directly do the debug contracts tab as well. Is there like a transfer? So this debug contract is basically, this is built automatically. It takes the functions in your smart contract and adds them to your debug contracts tab, so that if you want to like first of all check the functions before actually building your front-end application, it kind of makes that simple for you. But since this is like nicer looking, I use this. But you could definitely like transfer to this address, and then you need to convert to way, and then okay, 1. Okay, because this is the the burner, like the incognito person, so did not have any money to pay. So I'll do this, and then when we transfer, so now this person should have like 99 or 9. Oh, did I not like transfer? Oh, sorry, I transferred to the same person. Let's transfer to this person, because I just specified my address. So let's do 1. Cool. Now this person should have 9, and then now this person should have like 991. Okay, nice. So this was like the first step for the token. Now we're going to move on to the vendor. So as we mentioned, you can have multiple contracts in your Scaffold-2 application, or any application as per se. But as you can see over here, let me open it first. So we have like both your token.sol, and then we have the vendor.sol. But the vendor.sol is not deployed, so that's why you're not seeing it yet. But you can basically have like multiple smart contracts, like .sol applications, and then you need like you need to add them to your deployment script for them to be deployed. And now the next step is basically going to tell us to like edit your vendor.sol contract. And as we said, like vendor is basically like a machine which you can buy and sell tokens. So nothing special. It's just like you're able to like buy tokens from it, and then you're able to sell back. And this is kind of important because it teaches you like the approve pattern to like the approve pattern for ERC20s. If you want like some app to act on your behalf, you need to like allow the contract to use your tokens. So you need to like make an approve pattern, which we will go through. But that's why it's kind of like a fun and can get frustrating application to build if you're just kind of getting to ERC20s. Cool, so let's see what it wants us to do. Well, I of course read this before, but just to give like an overview, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the buy functionality. So it's commented out for now. And what I'm going to do is we need like a way for the to buy tokens from this vendor bot smart contract. And the first thing to do is it's going to set the token price. So we have like an EDA token, but how much is it in ETH? It says it to 100 over here, but I'm just going to do 1 because it's way more convenient. So this is going to be like 1 EDA token is going to be equal to 1 ETH. And then we're going to add a buy tokens. So then we need like a function over here, and it needs to be payable. Payable function means that it accepts money, so you can send it ETH. And then we're going to like kind of build our function over here. But I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, the buy token, and it's helpful because this actually gives you the answer. The buy tokens function should use message.value, which is basically how much value you send in. Because it's a payable function, it accepts ETH. So what is the message.value, meaning the ETH you send in? And the tokens per ETH, so because we made it 1, we made our lives easier. And it calculates, and then it transfers to the message.sender. Okay, let's build that out. And I have GitHub Copilot, which makes my life easier. Buy tokens. I think this actually, let me see what this did. Okay, GitHub Copilot did it for me already. But I basically have a buy tokens function, and it's a public payable function. So again, payable means that it has a message.value. And what I do is I take the message.value and I multiply it by tokens per ETH. So because this is 1, it doesn't really make a difference. But if it was like 1 EDA token, 10 ETH, it would make more difference. But I'm just going to make it 1. And then it's going to transfer to the message.sender, the person interacting, like the external account who's actually like making the call. And it's going to transfer the amount which we send in. And it's basically message, like the amount is basically message.value times the per ETH, but because it's the same, like token per ETH is 1, it's going to be equal to the amount. So this should work. So if our vendor has some tokens inside it, then this should kind of be working. Let's deploy this. And to deploy this, what I need to do is I go to the deployment script. You can have it here. You can also have like in the same deployment script. You don't need to like have a separate deployment script, but because it has it here, I'm just going to do this. So it gives me like all the accounts. So this is the first one. So it's going to get an account to deploy it. Your token. I need to uncomment something over here. Okay, I need to import this, I think. Do I need these? I don't want to log them. That's fine. Or let's log in case we want to like look at it. Your token.address. I think I get this from somewhere.
Right, just above it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. So basically what we're doing over here, it's the same way, like we're getting a hard-hat account, which will be the deployer of this token, like this vendor smart contract. And then we basically call like, we need your, okay, we call over here the your token. Why do we call this one? Oh, this is for a transfer, so we actually don't need this now. Let's uncomment. Oh, am I getting it wrong? Okay, these are just the constants which we're describing. Oh, sorry, my bad. So we need the your tokens right over here. So we're passing in as your token smart contract over here, which is why we defined it over there. So this is kind of the constructor takes the argument of the token address. So that was my mistake. Basically, like when we're creating the vendor smart contract, it takes in the constructor, which is our ETH token. And then that's why we need to specify it over here in the deployment script. So we kind of get that token's address, and we specify it as a constructor argument. And I think this should work. I don't think we need the rest right now. All I want to do is deploy it. I'm not going to transfer any funds yet. So we get the address, we get the token address, and then this is basically where the deployment happens. We'll be passing the arguments, and then you can kind of log and do some extra stuff. But this should work. And if it doesn't, we'll just find something. Cool. I think this worked. I'm coming back over here. OK, now when you come to your debug contracts tab, you have two. You have both the vendor, and then you have the your token. When I was first starting out with like Ethereum and like these deployment scripts, it was really confusing. Like I was like, OK, where's like the two contracts? How can I deploy them? So I think this interface makes it really nice and easier. I used to run into like a lot of errors, like why is my contract not deploying? Like there were like some dependency issues, whatever. So it's really helpful to start with a branch, which kind of works sometimes. But now you can see like we have two different contracts, which is the vendor.sol and then your token.sol. And the vendor, like it's pretty, like it doesn't extend anything. It only has one function, which is to buy tokens. So let's see if we can actually buy tokens. But the vendor does not. What is the vendor? Let's see our token vendor. So let's send some tokens to our vendor because it currently does not have any tokens. So this is where it kind of happens. This is what I did not comment on before, but we created a vendor, but it has no tokens which you can actually buy. Like it's null. So I kind of want to like specify the vendor address, and I want to transfer some tokens over there so then we can actually like use them. So these are the next lines. So we do this, we specify the vendor address. Next, we will also transfer the ownership, but this kind of, like what this does is it gets our vendor tokens address from the deployment, and then it automatically sends it like 1,000, but let's make it less, let's make it like 60. There's no reason to choose 60, but. So this way, now our vendor will have tokens, so we can actually like test our, oops, it's not working. I think we don't have enough tokens to pass to.
Can you specify just one? We want to send 60 in the vendor.sol.
Here?
Just specify one token.
Here to specify one?
No, I'm not sure, but in the vendor.sol we specify in tokens per ETH that we just have one token, but then we're trying to send 60 tokens.
Oh, but that's like the exchange rate. So that's like one ETH token is equal to one ETH. No, that's valid. But so that's basically like saying you can make it like 10 as well, but that just kind of multiplies it when we want to send with the message value. But I think we don't have, so the deployer address, let's try maybe. I'm not sure what the problem is, but if we can. I have a running one on the side in case, sneak peek. Okay, I'm not sure what the problem is, but we can.
Do you need to transfer them from the token deployment, or no? I didn't know if you needed that, like on deploy your token, the other deploy scripts. You need to uncomment anything? No, right? I think so.
No, I don't think I need them here. So this just deploys the your token.
Okay.
So this doesn't actually do that. So once this is deployed, then it goes here, and then it gets like our deployer address, and then your tokens.
Are you trying to pass Ether into wave?
Into what?
Into wave, which is 1 times. Oh yeah, but you should have enough.
Yeah.
You minted 1,000.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Okay, because we have limited time, I'm gonna okay, we can, okay, I don't want to waste your time, so I'm gonna like copy from my previous code. I think there's like something which we're missing. So this is like the deployment contract.
Do we have to run the yarn generate to deploy those addresses?
So you can, but I directly use a hard hat account because like since it's all on localhost, if you want to like get the private key, like you should like, yarn generate also generates you accounts which are actually predictable, but you can like once you run yarn generate, you can generate like a random account and you can get the private key. So because this is like all on my local host, I'm fine with like just using like a hard hat account since you know it's valueless tokens. But one moment, is it? So what we can do is we can like for now like find just to test, like I'm gonna send vendor like my vendor tokens manually from the UI while we think like, well, or if anyone wants to brainstorm about this in the back end. So this is our vendor's address. What I'm gonna do is this person has like 100 tokens, so I'm gonna just like send to the vendor and then think about this in the background. So what I'm gonna do is I come over here, your token, so I just like transfer to this person, which is a token vendor, and I'm gonna transfer 10 tokens. Okay, so this basically sent, and this is just like a temporary solution. Well, we think of like what's the issue. But now the token vendor kind of has some money as well. So this way, like we can try the buy tokens functionality. Okay, I'm gonna go here. So this is now, we can like, when you come to your token, you can kind of see who has what balance. So I'm gonna take like the vendor smart contract address. So I go over here, I just copy this vendor smart contract address. I add it here, and then I just read, and you can see that this person has 10 ETH or 10 EDA tokens. So now, like basically, because it has some tokens, we should be able to buy from it. And let's kind of see how that works. Oh, one moment.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I think in the contract here, you need to put in your token contract. How do I read the token contract already deployed from here?
From the UI interface, you mean?
Or wherever,
Oh.
yeah.
So from debug contracts, you can come over here.
Okay.
It displays you to like the basics, like the balance, the network, etc. So that's how I came. I just copied this, and then I did this. You can also specify that in your deployment scripts. But okay, so basically, like now we come to this token vendor. Now this person has like, our token vendor now has like 10 EDA tokens. So I'm gonna try and buy from it. I come here, the vendor, and then buy tokens. I wanna buy one. I'm gonna convert to wait. I'm gonna do a send. Okay, so now I should buy. So now this person should have 991. If it doesn't, it will be 2 errors in one presentation. Okay, cool. It worked, at least this one. Yes, so basically now like we have this token machine which has some tokens, and we can buy the tokens from this token machine. And the UI is not super nice, because it doesn't show us, like we have to come over here to the debug contracts tab to do some stuff. So what I'm going to do is, this is all actually available in this branch. So all I'm going to do is, we were all in the contracts folder. So what we were editing is the vendor.sol, yourtoken.sol, and under deploy scripts. These were what we were editing. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to close the hard hat. I'm going to open Next.js. I probably need like my page.tsx, but not this one. In the token vendor, page.tsx. Okay, this is my front end. Is this big enough? Shall I make it bigger? Am I going too fast? We can go slower. I feel like because the error, it slowed us down. So now this gives us like already commented out code. And I'm not going to be like writing all this code, but basically what this does is it gets like the vendor token balance. So let's kind of, I'm actually just going to like, so I'm just going to take my page.tsx. I'm not really doing any changes, but this should have like some stuff already in for us to not waste some time. Oh, because we haven't like written the cell tokens yet, but that's fine. So we'll just delete this. Because we have like a cell tokens function, which we did not write yet in our vendor.sol. So this now gives us like a bit of, what I basically did is you just uncommented out everything on the page.tsx. I just did it in case like when I do something, I make a mistake. So now you can see like we have these tabs. So you can directly interact from the UI. Because like if you're building an application, obviously you don't want like the person to kind of see this, but you want to build like a proper-ish UI for it. So this is the proper UI. So it allows us to like buy tokens, to transfer tokens to a certain address. Like let's transfer to this person over here. This person has 0. Oh, I'm gonna transfer to this token, and then we can like test the buy from there, for example. Like let's transfer 10 tokens. So now this person has like 10 tokens. I'm gonna grab some funds from the faucet. And then we can buy like from the vendor as well. So 1 tokens per ETH. This was the one which we had over here. So I can buy 1, buy token. Now it should have 11, hopefully. It displays the vendor token balance. So vendor decreased, we increased because we bought like a token from the vendor. So the second thing the vendor does is you can sell tokens back to the vendor. So you got like, it's like a vending machine, which you can give back the Coca-Cola you bought, for example. And I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I think I'm probably missing that error which we had over there, but that's okay. We found a workaround. Oh, one thing is our contract is currently like not owned by anyone, and it would probably be helpful for it to have an owner. And thankfully, we don't have to write like a whole ownership pattern ourselves, but we can directly inherit it from OpenZeppelin's ownable contract, and I'll do that. It's all commented out for your ease of use. But basically, so OpenZeppelin also has like an ownable.sol smart contract, which allows like contracts to have owners. So we're going to like do this, and I think it is ownable. And that's the line which we did not comment before, which is the transferring ownership. So when we first deploy the smart contract, we specify like our hard hat account, so it doesn't have a current owner. But now I want there to be like a certain owner of the smart contract, so then I can do some extra stuff, like for example, withdraw funds, right? Like our vendor has some money, and we want like one person to, or like a group of people to withdraw funds, not everyone. And let's get like our front end address. I like this address, so I'm just gonna like copy this one. And then we just add it over here. We transfer the ownership directly. I mean, you can directly like assign an owner when you deploy the contract too, but for the sake of like doing live presentations, I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, we're transferring the ownership. That was like the step which is also mentioned over here. Not really critical for our application. We can also let anyone withdraw since it's just like on localhost. And one other thing, it told us to add a withdraw because as we mentioned, you know, it has like some money inside it, but we want one person to get it. So I'm gonna add a withdraw, and I actually don't know the withdraw command by heart. It's like something .call, so I'm gonna show where you can get it as well. So I usually go to like, this is kind of outdated, well, it's updated, but it's not the best place to go, I feel like now. But if you go to solidity-by-example.org, you can see like a lot of standard smart contracts. You can see quite interesting stuff actually, like some how to create like your own multi-sig wallets, some common like hacks like the re-entrancy hack, etc. So it's quite fun to go over here and try it out yourself. I kind of recommend it. But what I came here for is to get like the withdraw. So you have some Ether in your contract and you want to withdraw it. There's like a specific way to withdraw it so that it doesn't get like hacked and like, you know, someone can make like, I'm not sure, I think it's actually like someone can make a function call before you if they see like you're trying to withdraw money from a contract. So you kind of have a specific way of sending Ether back. And there's apparently a tab for it too. So it kind of tells you over here, and how to like send and receive Ether. For example, like if it's your first smart contract and you don't have a fallback function or a receive function, your contract will also not receive money too. So you kind of need to like add, like there are a few things which you need to make sure that you're doing with Solidity. And yeah, you can come over here, you can kind of look at how this works. I'm gonna do this one actually, the call one, but I think Copilot will automatically tell me. This is not how I want it. So I want it, not two, but I think I have it like this. So the way I wanted to do it is, I'm just going to take it from here. We don't need this right now. I'm going to remove this so that we can kind of try, everyone can do it. Sorry, this. So the way it kind of it does like a call function, and we pass in like the owner. So the address is the owner of the smart contract, and because we're going to do only owner, this directly comes with the ownable. Once you inherit ownable, like you can add anywhere only owner. So for example, buy tokens, you can add only owner. It's called a modifier, I think, right? Like I don't know the exact name. I'm pretty sure it's a modifier, but you can basically add it so that when your functions are running, it has like it's like a require statement you add on the top, like an if-else basically. But it means that only the owner can actually call this function. So with the withdraw, you probably want only the owner to withdraw the funds from it. And then there are different ways, again, to like run the withdraw, to transfer the money out, but we're going to use call. So it basically calls and it gets the address, it gets the balance of this address. So it transfers all the value back to this owner person. So that is one thing which we did, but now I kind of want to focus on sell tokens, and I'm already 9 minutes. Well, we actually have like an hour, so we can like slow down as well. So we have like quite more time. But before like so this is basically a withdraw function. I don't want to, like we will test this out when we move forward. But before we end, I kind of want to show the sell tokens, because we showed like how you can buy tokens from the vendor, but the sell tokens is actually like where more the interesting stuff happens. So let's kind of move faster. Now the vendor buyback. This is a funny way to have this emoji. But basically, we mentioned the approve pattern. So there's an approve pattern which ERC20 tokens need to go so that some other contract can use the tokens on their behalf. And this is where you kind of get hands-on with the approve pattern. And I'm not going to I'm not going to read this. But basically, what happens is you can go over here to solidity-by-example.org and kind of see how you can interact with ERC20 tokens for the approved token. And I think it should be in the ERC20. And so there's like the allowance, but you can actually do Okay, so this actually brings you over here as well. But yeah, there's a lot better sites which explain it, but we'll stick with Solidity by example over here. So basically what we need to do is we need to give when we call like sell tokens, the first thing which needs to happen is we need to allow the contract to actually be able to like approve the tokens to sell. And then the transfer will happen. So what happens with the sell is first you approve the tokens and then you actually transfer them. So the approval is basically it gives you over here. You can use allowance, which basically calls actually the approve, which we're going to be using. So when you come over here, so it explains you like creating your smart contract. I think it actually explains you allowance. Cool. Yeah, this is basically like the approve is explained over here. You can kind of use this. I'll use the allowance. But it's basically the same thing. So you approve your smart contracts, and then you kind of want to check. Well, first you want to check if there's any balance inside there to actually sell. And then you approve the tokens, and then you actually transfer them. So let's try and craft it by ourselves. And I'll probably look into them because this is a stressful environment. What is it called? It's called sell tokens. Yeah, this will not work. This is not correct because it's not approved. So GitHub Copilot does not know this. Or maybe it does, maybe I don't. But no. You need to first approve. You need to have like the allowance. You need to call the allowance function to actually be able to spend the tokens. So we basically have over here. So what we're going to do is, I think it's I'm going to get it from here too. But basically the first step, this is not important for now. Here, this is basically what we need. And let's call this one. So what I'm doing over here is we're going to find like an allowed amount. This is an interesting way, but basically what we're doing is this, like the message.sender, like this address is basically allowed to send my tokens. So, and then after this, like what it did, well, this will give an error if we don't have the tokens, but let's make sure that our allowed amount is more than, not amount, but 0, so that you don't have any and then you can call this transfer function. Because once you allow the tokens, now you can kind of allow the smart contract to spend them on your behalf, and then you basically transfer them. So then this is like the transfer from. So this is what GitHub Copilot actually directly told us to do, but because you did not like follow the approved pattern, it will not work. So then you can call the transfer from function, and then you specify the amount over here. I want to sell this many tokens back to the vendor, and then does this like, well, this sends like an event. By the way, we didn't cover events, but events in Solidity basically like tell you this action performed. So you can kind of have this. I mean, you can add them. We can add this since it's here. Okay, cool. So will this automatically tell us the fix? Okay, we need to add. So because we didn't have the event yet, it was giving us error. To like emit an event, you need to have an event. So this should work. This should work. But now, because our page.tsx, we removed the sell tokens, it will not work. At least now I know the error. So let's kind of get that back. You know, before I was deleting some things on page.tsx, it was because we did not have the sell tokens function. So now it should. But we did, okay, because we did not deploy the smart contract, so our ABI is not updated. Let's see, like, if we deploy the smart contract, it will work, or if there's some other error, which I'm not aware of. Cool. So now, like, it should update our ABI automatically. That's what happened when you deploy. We covered, like, ABIs. So now our, like, it's automatically updated. So now our front end should be aware that there's a sell tokens function in our contract. Yes, error solved. It's always stressful to give a presentation. Cool. So now let's try it. Does it actually work? I hope it does. Sell tokens. Okay, so our vendor currently, well, when you do a deploy reset, it resets the balances. So before we were like, our vendor had like 8 tokens or something like that. Now it has 0, but we're going to transfer balances. Like this person has a lot. So let's go ahead over here. Let's get the vendor address. I'm going to get the vendor address. Let's transfer some tokens to the vendor. If you try to buy, you can't because the vendor has no tokens. We can actually try. Okay, the vendor has no tokens, so you cannot buy something which has 0. So let's send the vendor like 100. Let's make it like 73. Cool. Now our vendor has 73 tokens. And this balance is quite weird, so we'll interact from this person. The vendor has 73 tokens. Why is this not? Okay, this is the owner, so I think that's why they see it. I was like, why does this not have like the other functions over here? But I guess maybe like there's some, like maybe the only owner can see it. I'm not sure. But okay, so our vendor has some money. We have some ETH. There is a total supply of 1,000 ETA tokens. Now I want to sell tokens back to the vendor. Let's try and sell like 7 tokens to make this like a better number. And then our interface will automatically tell us to first approve the tokens. So then you are telling like the contract, okay, you can sell my tokens on my behalf. This is approved. Now we can actually sell the tokens. So let's see if it works. It seemed to have worked, but I'm hesitant. Okay, it worked. So we were able to sell tokens back to the vendor, and our interface automatically made like the approved pattern. So this is what we were doing over here, right? Like with the vendor.sol, you are allowing the contract to spend funds on your behalf. You can use allowance, like it's basically called, you can use approve too. But it's like, yeah, I basically prefer this syntax. And then it kind of tells us, you know, if you have like some tokens, you can basically transfer them. You can actually have like the require on top as well to see like if you're, like maybe it can be a bit better even. And then you actually transfer the tokens. So there's basically 2 different like functionalities inside the sell tokens. And yeah, that's kind of our application. So now there's this machine which you can buy tokens from, sell tokens to. It did not able to get tokens when we first deployed it, but that's a minor error, which I will look into afterwards. Yeah, I guess if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. But you can go ahead, you can continue to deploy this, you know, where I'm now on localhost. But you can continue, you can connect it to your Vercel app, you can make some changes to your front end, you can deploy it to Base, Scaffold-ETH if you want to be like, I'm gonna do stuff on the testnet. But this is basically one of the first challenges. So just to kind of wrap off where we started, full circle moment. So this was what we kind of do is, there's like an automatic grader over here as well. So once you kind of finish, you know, there are other stuff which we didn't do, which is basically like shipping your front end and just kind of submitting, like deploying your contract to like a default network. We're now all on hard hat. Ship your contract, verify your contract. You know, you want your contract to be available on Etherscan. So when you go to the contract tab, it will have like a green tick and it will show the functions, etc. So you can submit your challenge, and then once you submit your challenge, you can move on to the next challenge.